Hello and welcome back to Suzerain in the Republic of Swordland. And today's episode, well, let's see. We got some stuff in Whole Sword to do before we do anything else. Do we want to buy riot control equipment? The recent unrest has shown weakness in our law enforcement's ability to maintain order and peace. The Minister of Interior has run out of important vehicles, armor, and other crowd control gear to be able to ensure stability in the country. Should we fund riot control equipment? No, we're negotiating with them. I've already talked about this in the last episode. We're not attacking people, we're negotiating. Workers' Rights Act. Section 1 of the bill sets the groundwork for fair compensation by establishing a wage of 2.5 Swordish Rin per hour. This serves as a benchmark for fair and equitable pay, ensuring that no worker in Swordland is compensated below this rate. Section 2 addresses the issue of excessive labor, setting a maximum limit of 60 hours of work per week. Okay, yeah, I think that's the minimum that should be done. This provision aims to prevent worker exploitation and safeguard the well-being of Swordish labor forces. Section 3 introduces the concept of double overtime pay. This stipulates that any work performed beyond 40-hour work weeks will be compensated at twice the normal hourly wage. This incentivizes fair work practices and ensures employees are duly compensated for their extended efforts. Section 4 focuses on worker safety and humane work conditions. It mandates that employers must take all necessary steps to protect their workers from occasional occupational hazards and ensure a dignified and safe working environment. This promotes a culture of respect and care within workplaces across Swordland. Section 5 extends these protections to migrant or undocumented workers, granting them the same rights as Swordish citizens. Employers who fail to abide by these rules will face substantial fines from the government, and persistent non-compliant will invite legal action. We are signing. Don't worry, big business, don't worry. I'm gonna give you a corporate tax cut. We're gonna balance it out, okay? Really, phone? Not the time, phone, bad phone, stop, phone, I'm using my mind control power. I can't mind control a phone. Why can't I mind control a phone? I should be allowed to mind control phones, okay? Why don't you let me mind control the phones? I think it would make much more sense. The investors after the Bihu. The administration successfully passed comprehensive labor rights reform, introducing significant improvements to the working condition of employees. Stop. These reforms aim to safeguard workers' rights, promote fair treatment, and enhance workplace environments for the betterment of the labor force. Yes. Economy. Increased employee costs. The expansion of labor rights in Swordland has created new costs for businesses, resulting in increased expenditures related to employees. While this is a positive development for promoting fair and equitable working conditions, it may also create challenges for businesses in terms of their expenditures. Improved working conditions. The workers' rights reform, which established a minimum wage, maximum weekly work hours, overtime pay, occupational hazard protection, and equal workers' rights for all, has brought several potential positive outcomes. By setting the minimum wage to 2.5 Swordish Rin per hour, low-income workers can earn a decent living, which can help reduce poverty and social inequality. New law on workers' rights. The Workers' Rights Act has been signed into law by President Rain after the approval of the Grand National Assembly by the majority vote on Monday, following a 6-hour debate. Mazen Leak, who campaigned heavily for the bill, also sought to express his gratitude for the confirmation of the new laws, saying it contained much vital rules and regulations for the workers, the backbone of our nation. The new law established a minimum wage of 2.5 Swordish Rin per hour and sets a weekly maximum of 60 hours of labor. It established new rules and regulation for overtime payments and determines that workers are to be protected against occupational hazards and be provided humane work conditions. The new laws also establish that migrants or undocumented workers have the same workers' rights as civilians. Rain signs Workers' Rights Bill into law. The recently implemented Workers' Rights Bill caused the initial protest against the government to mellow down after the Morbel mine disaster. Chants of anger turned into solidarity marches. One of the spokespersons for the Nedum mining group has accused President Rain of acting impulsively with the bill, saying that it puts too much weight on the businesses. After the public announced it, Nedum has received hundreds of lawsuits from people around the country. Understandable. Workers' Rights Bill signed. In a surprising move, President Rain has decided to do something right for his citizens by signing the Workers' Rights Act into law. This looks as a publicity move after the terrible Morbel mine disaster. The new law establishes minimum wage and sets a ceiling for the maximum amount of... Look, I was going to do this whether it was a mine accident or not, of hours on top of new regulations for companies. Mr. Rain's move to give more rights to the workers has been welcomed by many. On the other hand, this may simply be a diversion from the actual real issues of the government. Regional investment decision. Gus Manger and Simon Hull have prepared an extensive regional investment package to revitalize one of the top three economically fragile regions by boosting the municipality budgets, providing large sums of business grants, and giving cheap loans to compensate companies with liquidity problems. The proposal can be implemented in one of the following regions: Bergia, Lauren, and Agland, or not. -2 government budget. We're not going to invest. We don't have the government budget for that, okay? We'll be fine. An evening walk. It was early evening, still light out, with just a faint nip in the air. Frank was at a friend's, and Deanna was at an art class. Monica and I decided to go out for a walk before dinner. Our favorite place for a stroll was the nearby Capitol Park, the largest green space in all of Holsord. Before the children were born, we had spent many an evening engaged in deep conversation along the riverside promenade. Another favored path wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex to a private pond where the children could swim in the summer. I was told that Sol himself had it built, the benefits of being president. Monica met me by the door, and we put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards told me it's been closed for yet another protest. I wonder who they are protesting this time. What does it matter? They are two sides of the same coin. You always did believe yourself to be above the fray. Funny how becoming president changes one's perspective. In any case, where shall we go? I'm not sure Capitol Park is a wise idea in this climate either. Nonsense, we have our guards. There's nothing to be afraid of. Let's go to Capitol Park. Alright, let's go. Then before the children get home. I informed the guards about our route, and we left the house. The guards followed us with a black cadilla as we exited the gates. Walking briskly, we reached Capitol Park in minutes. As we entered the park, Monica broke the silence. So how was your day? Paperwork, endless meetings, the usual nightmare. I don't know, I imagine some might find that stimulating. What about your day? Oh, it was fine. I caught up some reading while the children were at school. As we reached the river, we saw Ionis Korna, the former Minister of Justice, walking in the opposite direction. I remember that Nia Morgna used to be Vice Minister. He gave us a quick nod of acknowledgement. Ionis had once fought hard and strong against Sol's judicial reforms, but after years of the government blocking his every move, he gave up on his ideas and became part of the administration. What do our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people we idolize? Evelyn also comes around for tea. She says hi. She was feeling rather low, though. Apparently she and Peter had a bit of a disagreement. Peter's in the doghouse again? How'd it happen? Apparently Peter had too much whiskey, as usual, and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know Peter, what do you think of this? That's Peter, perpetually pickled. I'll have a talk with him. Good. Evelyn seemed close to tears. Aren't you glad you and I don't have these kinds of quarrels? Monica didn't say anything and kept walking. You know, Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at Holsord Port last year. You remember how she got fired for supporting Alfonso? Peter tried everything to get her job back, but it didn't work. A sad day for journalism and free speech in Swordland. I completely agree, a sad day indeed. But enough about Vectorns, I also spoke to Janice on the phone. Who? You remember my friend from university? We were in Swordish literature class together. A few years younger than me, red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and her husband once or twice. Neither the name nor the description rang a bell. I still don't remember her, but go on. Anyway, she's been working as an executive assistant at the Violet Pictures film studio. She recently became pregnant and asked her boss for paid maternity leave, and guess what? She was fired for it. After asking for maternity leave? That's terrible. I know, I was beside myself when she told me. And that's not all. They immediately replaced her with a younger, less experienced man. The son of an executive, no less. Nepotism, eh? They must have wanted him in there all along. That doesn't justify what they did to her. As it happens, another friend works for a television station that's hiring secretaries, so I connected the two of them. That doesn't solve the deeper problem, though. Exactly, I knew you'd be on the same page. Women in this country are still seen as wives and mothers first, human beings second. They're harassed at work, underpaid, blocked from positions of power, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there are still places in this country where little girls like Deanna are denied the right to education. Yes, and I will do what I can to change that. It can't just be you. These little girls and people like Janice need someone to speak on their behalf, a role model, a successful woman. We were right in front of one of the park benches that lined the river. Monica gestured to it, and we sat down. Which brings me to my point. I know the mayor of Anrica, Curtin Lest, will be delivering a speech at the annual opening of the Benfey Festival. My wish is to take his place and deliver the speech instead. Lesty was one of Sordlin's most influential politicians. He had started his career in Benfey before rising to power in Anrica. Benfey's current mayor had personally invited him to make the opening speech. Replacing him with Monica would likely anger him. Probably not enough to cause a huge incident, but enough that he might use his influence over the Conservatives blocking in the assembly. I want to base the speech on women's rights in Sordlin, on the oppression and discrimination we face every day, on the basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard, and this festival's the time to do it. I just need your blessing as my husband and the president of Sordlin. Remember my time with the Swordish League of Women in university? You supported me then, I'm asking you to support me now. Monica's eyes were blazing with fire. I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly, but I had to be careful with my promises. Does it have to be at the festival? Why can't you make your speech another time? It has to be now. Thousands go to the festival, and millions watch the speeches at home. Sordlin's women can't wait any longer. I need the votes. I need the votes. I can't risk the conservative votes are the ones that I'm more likely not to get. If I was already going to get them anyways, I wouldn't care. But that's like, I'm not actually likely to get those votes right now because I'm already pushing at their limits, and I can't make it worse. I feel so bad about that. Absolutely not. Out of the question. I don't understand. Isn't this something you care about as well? Sorry, but I can't make Curtin Lest angry. What little trouble this causes in the short term is nothing compared to the lasting positive change it will bring, not just for women, but for all of Sordlin. Well, the thing is, I agree with you. If the Constitution wasn't also gonna do lasting positive change. This Constitution I am working on is gonna fix our democratic system and make it where we're actually a democracy. I'd put that not really above the level of women's right, but at least about the same. And the thing is, you're asking me to risk that when you could do this speech literally any other day. Truly, any other. You also, I don't know why you're asking me to replace him with you. Why don't you just share the stage? Do your speech after. Do your speech before. But no, you have to immediately want him off the stage? Really? Really? You can't just, like, share the spotlight? Let both take a turn? Like, I can't get them angry at me. I need their votes. I truly, truly need their votes if I want this constitution to go through? I don't think so. Monaco was silent for a while. When she finally spoke, there was a chill in her voice. If that's truly how you feel, so be it. We walked back home, neither of us looking at each other. Well, you know, that's fine. Everything's fine. Unruly generals. The communication breakdown between the higher-ups and the generals in the military has become a major issue. Despite the weekly reports, the generals are not responding efficiently, leading to a lack of coordination and effectiveness in executing commands. Nationwide peaceful protest. There are currently peaceful protests taking place throughout the country in response to recent events. However, if the situation is not effectively managed, there's a risk that these peaceful demonstrations may escalate into more violent protests. Yes, but they're peaceful, and that's what we want. We want peaceful protests. That's, if anything, I'd say a good thing. Rizia hails energy collaboration success. Following the fruitful joint investment in Gessam, King Ramus hailed the initiative as a shining example of regional cooperation. He underscored the potential for this successful partnership to pave the way for future collaborative endeavors, ultimately leading to mutual economic prosperity. The king expressed optimism for the growth of ROG and the sustainability of the cooperative model of energy investments. Lesbia condemns Rizia's energy alliance. Oh, great, thanks. In recent public statement, Prime Minister Perciso Alvarez voiced stern condemnation of Rizia's cooperative energy agreement with Swordland. Alvarez argued that the partnership undermines Lesbia's energy industry and specifically raised concerns about Lespower's stake in the regional energy market. The Prime Minister also drew attention to ongoing disagreements between Lesbia and Rizia over maritime borders, warning that the energy deal could further exacerbate these issues. Lachavin. Gossam resumes hiring. Gossam Lachavin's local energy giant has resumed its hiring operations after several months of pause. The company recently welcomed 100 new employees to the workforce, seeking a potential recovery phase after the extended hiring freeze. With the latest addition, Gossam looks set to rejuvenate its operations and drive towards a more robust performance in the upcoming months. Yay! Dear. Gulkanism violence in Deir. There have been several incidents of religious violence committed by Bludish Galkanists in Deir. The attacks targeted members of other religious groups, resulting in injuries and property damage. The situation is concerning and warrants immediate attention from law enforcement and government officials. It is recommended that the measures be taken to prevent future incidents and address the root cause of the violence. BFF bombs police station. In a treacherous attack, the BFF has bombed the police station in Deir. Initially, casualties are reported at 3 officers dead and 22 injured. The perpetrators have escaped into the Gunrin Mountains near Suzerain, and a search was started to bring them to justice. The border guard has been notified of the attacks in case they try to flee to Welland. The Workers' Party of Bludia condemned the incident. General Staff condemns the administration. The General Staff convened at Camp Strongarm. A session much longer than usual concluded with a disastrous military analysis of Swordland's field capabilities. The Chief of Armed Forces, Valgan Kruger, made a public press statement condemning the administration's efforts to weaken the most important branch of the government, the military. All staff generals co-signed a letter of condemnation to the Reign administration. Yeah, whatever. Gulkanist violence in Swordland. Several incidents of religious violence have occurred in Deir recently, with the perpetrators identified as Gulkanists, which almost exclusively applies to people who have Bludish descent. This comes as no surprise to many, as the Bludish population has long been associated with rebellion and separatist movements. With their fanaticism around their fringe religion on the increase, the government must take a strong stance against the growing threat to our national security. It is clear that the Bludish people have a history of violent tendencies, and the rise of extremist Gulkanists only serves to reinforce this fact. This is a troubling trend in the region, especially after the Gulkanist revolution in nearby nourished Republic of Derdia, which surely has a hand in the spread of Gulkanism in the eastern Rakopa. The recent attacks in Swordland have targeted innocent civilians and caused a great deal of harm despite its small scale. We must not allow this violence to take root in Bergia, and it is imperative that the government take swift and decisive action to address the situation. Road Emerald Energy eyes Gossam, a strategic move. Rumberg's Royal Energy or Emerald Energy potential investment in Swordland's Gotham is a move to be welcomed, not feared. This could be the lifeline that Gotham, a bedrock of our domestic energy sector, needs to recover from its financial difficulties. While concerns about foreign ownership are understandable, the international dynamics of free market economies must be recognized. A significant influx of capital could enable Gotham to reclaim its standing, offering stability and growth to Swordland's economy. Rizia's investment, a lifeline for Gotham. Rizia's investment in Gotham brings much-needed relief for the struggling Swordish energy giant. This inflow of capital could stimulate Gotham's recovery and usher in a period of financial stability. It also underscores the potential benefits of international cooperation in the energy sector. The move is seen as a beacon of positive impacts that international collaboration can engender in the energy sector. As a result, this could positively impact Swordland's energy landscape, potentially fostering economic growth and making the country more competitive on the international scale. Money is meant to be spent. First rule of making money is to never hold on to it. This is always a principle that holds true. However, currently, Swordland seems to be doing the exact opposite. If we want to get out of this recession, we need to spend the surplus on infrastructure projects, investments, and trade. These ventures serve only to raise Swordland's standing globally and bring in even more investments. If we come to a standstill, the recession will not go anywhere. With certainly, conservative spending of the budget does more harm than good. I mean, I'm saving it for important things, like, hey, I'm saving it to give you a corporate tax cut. And to build mega projects. And I think that's, that's what we should do. Explosion year. 3 killed, 22 wounded. Plus, I only have 1 government surplus anyway. It's not like I have much. A bomb attack on a police station Deer has killed 3 officers and injured 22 others, officers say. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The police of Deir said militants from the British Freedom Front, or BFF, were likely behind the attack, and reported that several militants also fired at officers as they tried to escape the fires of the explosion in the treacherously pre-planned ambush. There have been a wave of unrest in Swordland for the last couple of months. These attacks seem to suggest that the racial tensions in Bergia have also decreased to very dangerous levels, which raises questions about how these situations should be handled. The orders parties of Bludia have condemned the incident, adding that the BFF does not reflect the views or the culture of the British people. Acacia has called on both sides to avoid violence, but stressed that Swordland has the right to defend itself against attacks by British rebels. Progress on the Iotake Plan boosts Nibia and surrounding nations. The ambitious Iotake Plan, led by the astute Vice Secretary Chairman Tukazitili Iotake, continues to march in Nibia and expand its influence in neighboring nations such as Zarland, Eustorcan, San Samia, and beyond, despite facing myriad of controversies and inherent challenges of implementing vast socioeconomic transformations. The CSP's agenda is undeniably poised to determine Rica's trajectory. The unfolding dynamics present in a press inquiry, how will the ATO counter such an extensive geopolitical maneuver? The chessboard is set, and the game stakes are high, potentially defining the ideological alignment of Rica for decades to come. Smolik condemns Arcacia soldiers in Lesbia. Wazak President Victor Smolik on Thursday criticized the Lesbian government for bringing Arcacian soldiers close to the border of Welland. Last month, Prime Minister Alvarez and President Walker agreed on the construction of several military bases in Lesbia that would station ATO soldiers with the arrival of the first Arcacian soldiers to Lesbia this week. Welland's stance has become increasingly hostile. In his speech on Thursday, Smolik said President Walker has succeeded in spreading Arcacian imperialism to eastern Maricopa, which will have consequences for every one of us in the region. ATO is clearly expanding its influence in our region using Lesbia. We must be careful, said President Smolik, warning the neighboring nations of Agnolia and Swordland to be prepared for future crises. Chancellor denounces Arcacian base on Rabnos Island. Chancellor Hegel of Vagsen has publicly censored Arcacian's recent move to establish a military base on Rabnos Island during a press conference on Wednesday, labeling the act as a provocative gesture. Hegel argued that this development does not only undermines regional peace and stability, but also poses a direct threat to Vagland's national security. Unyielding in its condemnation, Hegel stressed Vagland is not a country to be bullied so easily. We and the entire CSP coalition will correspond in force if Arcadia does not withdraw from the island. The escalating tension casts a shadow over the geopolitical dynamics of the region as the international community awaits Arcadian response. But I think this is a good time to go ahead and end this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.